Hey, everybody, welcome to our post show as we talk about and discuss everything that we just experienced. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, Steve. How are you?
Good, good. I am Steve. I'm one of the pastors here on staff. I'm joined with Justin and Andy and Layla, which you guys saw them in our pre show.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys always did such a great
It
job.
was a fun time.
Remind everybody what you guys. I didn't get to hear it. What was your answer to the question of the $1 million question?
Yeah, the question today was if you had $1 million gifted to you, what is the strangest thing you would purchase? And I said I would turn my basement into the Falcon from Star Wars and have each room be accurate. So when you walked in, it looks like in the movie. Or I would get a different house because I have been gifted $1 million. And the entire basement, all the hallways and everything would be water. So you have to swim from room to room.
So
Just,
weird.
She said strange, so I came up with strange.
Yeah.
What'd you come up with?
Nothing really
Nothing.
creative.
See? Exactly.
I said a whole bunch of Goldador dogs because I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with my dog. So I thought
Goldador?
I needed more. Yeah.
You need more dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Goldador.
more.
It's golden retriever and lab.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a cute mix.
There you go.
Yeah, I need more, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just the first thing that popped in my head.
Maybe if you get all of them, they'll have the, IQ of one smart dog.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. Well, we always have interesting questions
We do.
on our pre-show. Our post-show is much more serious.
Until
But
we're
I'm,
here.
but I'm sitting here with people who sometimes are not the most serious. But if we were to look at our questions, what's just a highlight from today's service? I know a lot of times we've hyper-focused maybe on just the message.
Yeah.
But we know that the experience of coming to church is bigger than just that. So there are other highlights. So you don't have to specifically say something from the message unless that spoke to you in a big way. But what was a highlight from this morning?
Well,
Go ahead.
I just thought it was interesting that today's message was today's message because I am actively reading a book, and the last chapter was literally just about this. I kind of touched on some of the same verses about being the salt and the light and, social influencing. And I thought, because I like to listen to the audiobooks, yeah, I agree with it, but kind of was like, just not really my cup of tea. I don't really like to, do a lot of things like that by instinct. So then to hear it today, I was like, okay, interesting. Like it's the second time that this topic has come up.
Maybe
so
I am the salt of the earth, and
yeah,
I need
was
to
like, maybe God
cure
does
meat.
want me to do this.
Well, we'll get into some of those deeper topics here in a minute. But what about you guys? Highlights from this morning?
Worship for me is always a highlight because, walking, trying to help out in different areas when I can go in there and just kind of unwind and just be me and just focus on that. Worship is a great way for me to just kind of zone in on being part of that service and just kind of shutting off everything that happens outside of those doors. So that was a good one for me. And the song choices were great today. So and you rocked it out on the bass.
Stop it.
You got any highlights?
Yeah, I liked at the very beginning. I like I was talking about like being like an influencer. Like obviously, like Kardashian numbers are nuts, but
Insane.
just like the idea that like every one of us is an influencer to like people around us in our sphere and all we can do, and that every time I hear those verses.
Okay, so I got to ask then, because he was talking about the Kardashians, he was
Yeah.
talking about the number of followers. Does anybody in this room actually follow any of the Kardashians? Are you
No.
a follower?
No, I'm not.
I think I might follow Kim because Sarah's watching the Kardashians a lot.
I
she's
purposely
pretty.
don't. I'm like they don't need mine. And when like Dave said they're in like the top 1% of social media influencers, and I was like, given my numbers, I'm like in the bottom 1%. Awesome.
So maybe one
Maybe
one out
one,
of those.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know in the chat right now if
Yeah, do
you
you
follow
follow
the
the
Kardashians.
Kardashians?
Do you follow them?
Do you follow them?
I do not.
Okay.
I do
I
not.
was like, did
I
you
think I
skip
go out and
that
follow the one with the
strategically?
least amount just to bump her numbers up. But
Like the
I'm not
mom or
gonna do
something.
The
Yeah, the
one who
mom.
has a quarter of a billion.
million.
No, a billion.
billion. Oh, billion. Wow.
Yeah.
Apparently you don't have to have talent for people to follow you around and talk.
Oh,
Shots fired
some
today.
people not.
Yep.
Well, let me ask this before we jump into the specifics from today's message. When you guys, I'm going to ask this kind of general question because I want to kind of capture the temperature of of the room a little bit, only because I feel like maybe last week you could tell there was a little bit of tension.
Sure.
As you guys found out that Dave was going to be jumping into a sermon series, a short sermon series, right at this election season, talking about politics, what was your initial gut thoughts?
Oh,
Emoji face.
Yeah.
Yes.
I literally went to a Mr. Burns excellent. Like there's a part of me where I'm like, good. Like these are things we need to be talking about. And I know some people in my close sphere that sometimes need to hear things because they can get so wrapped up into the election and what's happening here on an earthly way that sometimes we forget to look at God's ultimately in charge. So whatever happens here is momentary in God's plan, and it's all God's plan. Like he's in control, and have that reminder going into this season, which can be very divisive, is always helpful. But also excellent. What about you?
Oh, me too. I was gonna make a joke and say it's time to sleep in for a couple weeks. But no, I agree with Andy though. I echo that. It's just good to talk about that kind of stuff, and a lot of people tend to panic or those kind of things, and there's we just need to chill out and just look at the actual facts and what God has it, and go forward from there.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges though that I think we live within this culture is people's opinions around politics become extremely divisive, and they become very protected.
Yeah.
Right? They hold on to
Incredibly
those.
personal, like somebody's attacking me.
Right. And it's always a challenge when the church is going to address topics that people hold so tightly, because if you say something that I disagree with, all of a sudden now we have a problem.
Yeah.
And I love the approach that Dave's been taking, the care that he is going through to really try to navigate everybody back to the Word of God.
Yeah.
So, but I just kind of wanted to kind of get your initial reaction, because I know there are some people like that going, well, man, if the church talking about politics, then I'm out, or maybe
Right.
I'll sleep in. Or maybe it's just emoji face.
Yeah. That was partly sarcasm, because I just feel like I can't escape this topic, right? I can't watch TV. I can't look at my phone. I can't check my mail.
I'm getting text from people. Hey, Albert. I'm like, I'm not Albert. I'm Andy.
I don't know which company sold my phone number to these political people, but I get texts from both sides, from
Yep.
the Kamala
Oh, yeah.
camp and
Yep.
from the Trump camp.
Every day.
Every day, it's just blowing up.
I'm like, delete, report junk. I'm like, that
Yep.
does nothing.
It does nothing.
I'll talk to him a little bit.
All right. Well, let's jump into some of these, because we do have limited time in our post show today, because I'm leading worship and I got to get back out there, and Justin's on stage with me, so we're going to try to keep this.
Don't leave us alone.
I'm singing too.
Just leave you guys in
Yeah,
here.
Talk
Yeah.
about politics, you two.
We're going to go over a couple of statements that Dave made today, because there's 3 very specific statements that he made, and then some action points for us. The first one says, followers of Jesus promote a healthy morality. Now, he gave us a definition of morality, which I'm going to show you here in a second. But before today, or how would you guys maybe characterize morality? Or what were your thoughts about morality? Like, how do you sum this up?
Kind of like a basis for, I guess, how you would treat those around you, and kind of like how you would encapsulate how you respond to things around you, I guess, would be a loose definition.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's how I kind of look how people treat others, how they act when something happens, and how you kind of deal with things. So all that ties into how moral you are. And like somebody that goes out of their way, if like I see somebody drop something and somebody picks something up, like that shows me a little insight into their character.
What's
type
that quote? It's character is who you are when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Is that what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Right.
that idea.
Yeah, I didn't really think about like how people impact morality. When I think of morality, it's usually more around like, what does the morality feel like? More from like what's my environment feel like? So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a different perspective
Sure.
today for me.
Yeah, I liked the definition Dave gave. He says, morality is a set of rules people adopt to make relationships work so that people can prosper. it's so people focused, isn't this?
Right.
Rules people adopt to make relationships work, and sometimes you forget how the morality affects so many other people in your sphere. And I like what you said, Justin, that it's the response, right? It's your response to it.
Yeah.
And through this lens of morality, Dave brought up the topic or the book Lord of the Flies, right? And he told us a story, which is it's a great novel, it's a great book, decent movie. I don't know when I saw the one they made in the 80s.
Same here. I don't think they've remade
Have they
it, but
one
it's
since?
kind of ripe for a remake, it seems like nowadays.
It seems like it.
You know,
So the Lord of the Flies was a tale of morality.
Oh.
What other stories of morality can you guys think of?
Lord of the Rings.
Expand.
Okay.
Tell us the synopsis of the morality.
Of all
Synopsis
three
of the yeah, right. But basically you have this ring that is the most powerful object in the world, and people can use it for either to harm or for good. And sometimes even those who would want to use it for good, the power is so mighty that it can overtake them. So what do? They decide to get rid of said ring because the power is too much for anybody to deal with. So that's one that when Dave was talking about Lord of the Flies, I was like, or another Lord book of the Rings. Also, I feel is another good tale of morality.
What do you guys think?
That was that.
You
did
were going to
pop
say
up.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings
is it Lord of the
too?
Rings?
Because I think I was on the Lord.
I mean, we are in church, so the Lord. Yeah.
But I can't really think of anything else to. I don't know. This is Andy's wheelhouse. I feel like as far-
Storytelling?
Yeah,
Morality.
and like movies.
Lord of the
and,
Rings.
yeah.
Justin, you have any
some
stories?
You could probably find like in all over the place, but I mean, there's a fair amount, like even like Star Wars. I think
See?
morality,
Or Power Rangers, yeah.
Power Rangers. You can
Power
definitely find it
Rangers.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Might be, might have to dig a little bit, but
Yeah, no, I think just for Star Wars, I think like with like morality of it all, when they're talking about like the balance of the Force and just saying like like what leads to anger and leads to the dark side and very loosely. I know you could probably do it way better than
That's
I am.
okay.
I'm
No,
trying to
you're
bother
doing-
you a little bit. I'm trying
doing
to
a great
butcher it,
job.
so you'll come on.
You're doing a great job.
So we're going to tie this back to something that we had talked about in the previous series.
Okay.
And that's storytelling. So how do you guys see the storytelling that we're called to do, our life storytelling, sharing, how do we tie in those lessons of morality to that? Or how do you see that, them working together?
I think, honestly, a personal one for me. I think just 2 weeks ago, I was able to give my testimony on stage to the youth group,
Yep.
and it was awesome. It felt really good to be able to kind of, you think about your life and you're like, oh, I haven't really done that much that would like impact, but like you kind of like think of the things you've been through and like the story you can actually tell, and just kind of reflecting and kind of going through, I was able to go like, oh, actually, no, I have learned a lot, and I've been able to kind of share that with the kids of like, things they can avoid or pitfalls, that kind of thing. And I think that just through the lens of your own life and what stories you can tell, I think you can really benefit others and kind of help them grow.
Totally. And I think by that same token, sharing stories of your past failures, even too, with kids or with anybody can help out, because then they look at you as if, or they may have done that same thing and nobody's told them it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then when they hear that, hey, I did that, and sure, it was really terrible at that moment in time, but I came out of it and things get better. That can truly help. So I think literally everything we do on a daily basis is storytelling. You're putting your story out for people to see, and stories we know are incredibly, impactful. It's what stays with us more than most things, other than music. Angie brought this up yesterday. A song from the 90s came on, and she immediately started singing. She goes, if that song wasn't on, I couldn't say the words. But immediately when I heard the music, and I think that is also when we go through daily life, where just people see us and we don't have a time to tell them our whole story. So they see the kind of morality that you put forward in just something as easy as holding a door for somebody, or something small starts to add up, and then it helps to impact their story as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with their answers, and then I think it's important too to understand the audience and the environment, right? And knowing like listening to the promptings and from God and knowing like when to share a certain story or when to do a certain thing, and also recognizing when you perhaps missed that opportunity too. So I think that's a gift almost, right? Because it's easy to just not want to pay attention to things like that. So.
Yeah, and we're all parents here, and we know that there's times where we share certain stories with our kids,
Yep.
and there is a moral lesson behind that, and there's times when we don't share certain stories with our kids quite yet. I laugh because my daughter, she frequently will say, I'll say something, I'll tell a story, whatever, and she'll be like, I didn't know that. Like, do I even know you? Like, what? Like, who are you? And so I think it's interesting. But yeah, finding those moments where we can be storytellers,
Right.
and understand that sharing that healthy morality is so critical and so vital. And that comes out of when Dave was talking about the salt.
Yeah.
The salt of the earth, right? We're called to be the salt. And he was talking about how salt was used to preserve, right? He also said salt had a different use, right? And that was healing. And his statement was, followers of Jesus heal personal wounds. I'm going to be honest, like during this part, I was thinking to myself, like, have you ever gotten salt into a wound?
Yeah. Hurts.
Yeah, it hurts. So I wonder, I questioned slightly the medical practices of the doctors 2,000 years ago, but the principles are there, right? It's those healing wounds that we have to get through in order to really be an influence in our world. Do you guys have any thoughts on the whole personal wounds topic?
I mean, other than the fact that I think followers of Jesus understand what it feels like to be forgiven and have your sins wiped clean. So therefore, we should be making other people, whether they believe or not, acting and like if they've done something personal towards you, healing that wound is a perfect way of showing Jesus' love without having to, because some people don't want to be preached to or this or that, but you can show them Jesus' love in other ways. And then when they ask you, why did you do that? Then you get a chance to be like, well, this is why. So,
right. Well, and that takes us. I'm skipping now because we have just a couple of minutes. To his last point, which followers of Jesus share spiritual truth, and one of the things that really, really stuck out to me was the challenges that he gave us: engage people, embody change, enlighten hearts, and elect partners. And that engage people, he was talking about. We have to get out into the world. We can't influence the world if we're surrounding ourselves and isolating ourselves with only followers of Jesus.
Yep.
We have to be intentional about going into the world to be light. You can't be light to the darkness if you're never in the darkness.
Yep.
Not that we need to, only live in that environment, but we have to engage people.
Yes.
So the question is, where do you intentionally find yourself to try to engage people in the world?
This sounds lame, but I use social media to engage people because I have a lot of friends that I talk to outside of that don't follow or this or that. And they ask a lot of times, why are you so nice online to people? I'm like, because the world's full of negativity. And those little things have led to some pretty deep, when we've like talked on like Zoom or whatever, some really deep conversations just out of being nice. So yeah, I use social media as my
social media for
platform.
you. Real quickly,
I think I try to do it at work as much as possible. It's where I
work is
spend most of my time.
a great opportunity that
Yes.
Yeah.
you're kind of forced into, but you can be the light in that.
Right.
Do you want a super lame one? No, you
Nothing you say is super lame.
Okay, get ready. I run a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games, right? With a lot of people
Awesome.
online and we're all around all the time. And I find ways to kind of work in a little bit of Jesus truth in my games, a little bit, like kind of like questioning things. Kind of like,
Nice.
And I've actually done it a couple times. I've had a lot of people like talk me back or like, this or that, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome, dude.
Trying
Cool.
to influence people that
Okay,
way.
well, we
Sorry.
got to wrap this up because we have to get back on stage and start worship here.
I was about to say, I'll take over.
Just a few seconds. If you have questions, we would love for you to submit your questions. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. We will see you guys again next time.